Seriously, don't you ask that question every once in a while? Like you have that moment of, what am I doing here? Sometimes it's, it's cool. Look at where I am. And most of the time it's like, oh my God, how did I get here? And as easy it is for me to trace back throughout my life and say, okay, that had to happen in order for that to happen, in order for that to happen, in order for that. I'm going to say that maybe that's not really as simple and clear as it might sound, but maybe, just maybe, what your life looks like right now is what you have believed it to be. One of the most, the one statement that Jesus made that means the most to me is, let it be done to you as you believe. So when we consider whatever's happening in our life right now is a result of a lifetime of belief, we can respond in a few ways to that. Sometimes it can be, I've done pretty good here. And then other days we can think, what was I thinking? And how can I undo this issue of belief? So we've actually been talking about ways to do that over the last few weeks. I've been playing with the new year 2020 and having perfect vision of 2020, and our unity theme for the year is perfect spiritual vision 2020. So I have been offering you ways to clarify your vision, because your vision becomes your belief. What you take in with your eyes or internally with your inner view, more importantly, is the beliefs that we end up creating. And I have been asking you to make some changes or use some tools so that you can clarify what you are seeing. And therefore, wake up in the morning and say, yeah, I know how I got here, and I'm glad that I'm here. I'm on track. This is where I want to be. This is the kingdom of heaven that I am creating, and I'm glad about it. We started up here on the screen with a list of tools that or beliefs that we might want to clarify. One is to begin by looking into the invisible and putting our faith in that instead of what we see on the outside of ourselves. Paul wrote that the things which are seen come from that which is unseen. So start by looking at the invisible realm of spirit all around us, because it will become our supply. It will become our health. It will become our love. If we recognize that it's always available, it's already perfect and whole. And if what we look at then and take in through our vision, but hopefully even more clearly from our inner vision, it becomes something manifest in our life. I also talked about taking dominion over your thoughts. That is an awesome tool, a power that we have the ability to do, is to recognize when we're thinking things that don't feel good and being able to change those thoughts that feel more like our true spiritual self. And once you choose thoughts, you can also use your power of will to choose your actions, to make decisions and make them in alignment with what you know feels like your highest and best. Use that power of will to make your decision, and then use your power of strength to keep making that decision, to not give up until you see it manifest in your life. We also finished last week with watching Groundhog Day, a little bit of the movie, and learning what it means to be resistant to our life and how it keeps us trapped, that what we resist persists. And if we want to see with clear vision, we're talking about releasing resistance and instead focusing on what it is that we prefer. So we're up to the point now today where we have 3 final tools that I want us to look at. And I want to begin with our picturing power. How many of you, if I told you to close your eyes right now and I said, picture yourself in a meadow where the grass is kind of long and soft and it's a sunny day and there's clouds in the sky and little puffy ones across the blue sky, and you see a stream over here to your side, and there's wildflowers growing all around you. Maybe some beautiful trees swaying in the breeze. Open your eyes. How many of you were able to see something like that in your mind's eye? That is another one of your awesome tools, your picturing power. And you're using it really well on a regular basis because we are all champions at worry. And that is using your picturing power. It's picturing what might happen that could be harmful to you. And then we actually can feel the results of that first and foremost in our bodies, yes? How many of you know that or you can recognize a feeling of emotion, some kind in you when you worry? You have a worry thought, you feel it in your body, yeah. So you're really good at this, and we have been given through technology lots and lots of opportunities to use that picturing power, not for good. How many of you are on Facebook? Anybody been on the internet? Anybody watched the news on TV? Okay, so every time I turn on Facebook, there's at least one article with a picture of one of my favorite foods, which I've always thought was good for me, is now deadly. And here's what it'll do to your body. And you can picture it. And it is so strong in you that you've got to warn everyone. And so you share it with all your friends so that they can see it too. Yes? And we are using this every day against our benefit in a really short period of time. Remember how we talked in the last couple of weeks about the 68-second rule? That when you focus on something for 68 seconds, it's long enough to create an energy that is speaking to the universe and drawing more of the same to you. Yes? So Eric Butterworth is one of our Unity writers and ministers who passed in the last decade or two. But he told a story in one of his books about when his son was 5 and riding a bike. And he made a wrong turn and ended up going down a stone staircase on his bike and landed on his head on the pavement. Can you picture that? Can you notice in your body what you're feeling? Powerful, right? So, screaming, blood, he picks up his son, takes him to the emergency room. He's in the doctor's office with him. And, the child is fighting the doctor. And it's just a horror scene. And Eric realizes, I need to leave the room. I need to stop looking at this. It's absolutely contradictory to what a parent would want to do. They'd want to be right there to soothe them. But he knew where he could be of most good. He needed to leave the room, down the hall, out the door, onto the curb, sit down, change his vision, picture something else until he could create a peaceful feeling in his being. And he did that. He let go of that picture in the hospital, and he went with that which helped create a deeper peace in his being. And when he felt that really strong, all is well, he got up, went back into the room, and his son was smiling, and the doctor said, yeah, it was the weirdest thing. Like a couple minutes after you left, you just settled right down, and we fixed the problem, and all is well. That is our picturing power that is really given to us for our good, to be used for our good, to create that which makes our life better. Suzanne, I'm going to ask you to come up here for a moment, and can we have the microphone turned on, please? We just had a vision board session here. Who else went to the vision board this year? Okay, or ever created a vision board. Suzanne was willing to show hers today. Can we turn it around and why don't you take the mic and hold on to that? Let me hold this for you.
Okay.
First of all, can you just tell me why you chose to go create this?
I've done vision boards before, and they've helped focus me towards what I want. And so I did it again.
Have you ever created a vision board where something on the board actually manifested in your life?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So,
and
yeah.
What do you do with this vision board?
So I have it in a place where I can see it and I can focus on it, and continue to kind of absorb it visually.
Okay. Why do you think that works for you?
I do everything in pictures in my head.
Oh, okay.
So the minute I close my eyes and meditate, I put myself somewhere quiet.
Okay.
So I'm very picture-oriented anyway.
Okay.
So this helps.
Okay, so pictures for you become things.
Yes.
Yes. Is there one thing on here you want us to know about so we can hold it with you?
Retirement.
Retirement. Yeah. Have you
yeah.
pictured something about retirement?
I have pictured too many things about retirement.
Okay.
And
well, just tell us one thing.
So one of them is, I'm moving to North Carolina and living with my sister in retirement because we're both spinsters.
Okay.
which is the
That's a picture.
which is the 1950
Not
term
necessarily
for
a good one, but-
single woman.
Okay. So a move with your sister to
Yeah.
another part of the country.
Yeah.
Okay, well, throw that one out, okay, because we don't want you to go.
Okay, go on.
Thank you for sharing this with us.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, let's give her some love. So, if you've been around Unity long enough, you know that one of our main principles is that we create our life experience through our thoughts, our feelings, and our beliefs. And pictures are one of the key ways that we create those thoughts, feelings, and beliefs within ourselves. And I'm going to throw up a list here, 3 lists really today on the screen, that I want you to take a look at. And these are all ways that you can use your picturing power on purpose for good. The first list up here is just everyday needs, everyday uses of our imagination. So it's things like waking up. I'm just going to ask you in the morning, before you get out of bed, this week, spend at least 1 minute visualizing one of these things. If you just don't resonate with any of them, pick one for yourself. But just simple things that you run into all week long. So either visualize that everybody you meet today is going to be smiling at you and helpful, or you're bounding with energy throughout the day, or you're patient with difficult people, or you're finding easy solutions to things, or you're getting a handle on something that's been going on forever, you're feeling strong or healthy in your body, you're paying bills in peace, you're being kind and attentive to your children, or maybe you're in school, you're taking a test calmly and clearly knowing the answers, okay? Now, if there's not one up there, pick another one, but I want you to pick one right now. And I want you to turn to your neighbor and tell them what it is right now. Okay. Here's list number 2. This list is about lifelong issues. How can I use my imagination to heal a lifelong issue? For the majority of human beings, one issue is we don't love ourselves. So what if we imagined what it would be like to love ourselves, to talk kindly to ourselves, to do good things for ourselves, to cut ourselves some slack once in a while? Use your picturing power to see yourself doing that. Or maybe there's somebody that you have had a grudge against or just a downright hate for way too long. Imagine yourself forgiving them. See what would it look like. What would you say to them? How would it feel? Maybe it's something that it's way past doing it in person, but just holding those ideas in your heart. If you can't immediately forgive, imagine yourself being willing to forgive. Another opportunity is for those of us who need some more courage in our life. If we are afraid to speak up and say what we really think, or we've been afraid to step out and do something that has been calling to us, imagine it first. What would it be like to be different? Maybe you're a person who struggles with anger in your life, and that's your go-to response to everything. What would it be like in my mind as I picture myself being more patient with people? Maybe you have an actual situation that happened recently where you responded with anger. See yourself doing it differently, from peace and calm and allowing and accepting. Or maybe our issue is that we failed at something in the past and it has been holding us back the rest of our life. Imagine in your mind what it would be like to go back and do that again. How would you have done it differently? What would it have looked like if you'd had a second chance? Or maybe see yourself just letting that go and choosing to step into something higher and even better than that. That's the power of your pictures and what it can do for you. So take a look at that, or find something else that you've been dragging around for a really long time in your life and use your picturing power to change it. And the third list up here today is to fulfill our role as spirit, which means to use our picturing power to become one with God, to allow my life to be a demonstration of God. What if we imagined ourselves meditating more often? You know, I know there's a lot of us who resist doing that, but what if you just start with imagining that you're meditating for 1 minute when you wake up in the morning or before you go to bed at night? And by the way, that's actually meditating. Imagine yourself meditating. Imagine yourself being so connected with spirit that aha moments are coming through all the time. Wouldn't that be cool? That you're constantly getting a download from spirit. Imagine yourself being really clear on what your heart desires, what it wants to do next in your life. Hearing very clearly from spirit. Imagine yourself expressing spirit by being more generous with people, with your time, with your energy, with your compassion, with your resources, just being a giving presence of spirit. Or imagine yourself stepping out and creating something that you have not yet seen in your life. I mean, that to me is one of the greatest demonstrations of spirit as creator. Your picturing power can help you with any of these things on these lists today. I'm hoping that you'll choose one from each of these lists. These slides will be on our website near the podcast. So if you want to look at the lists again, that's where they'll be. But Winifred Hausman said this. She said, thinking happy thoughts, expecting good, and opening yourself to God ideas will set the stage for harmonious prophetic images on the screen of your mind. And E.V. Ingram said, when an idea becomes so closely allied with a person that she begins to feel it in her bones, it's reaching its highest degree of power. What kind of power? Attraction power. It's sending that signal out to the universe. Feeling it in our bones, which takes me to the next tool for today, which is our ability to feel things. Our feelings are the strongest energy we have that is a signal to the universe that calls in more of the same. And the more that we use our picturing power for good, the more we feel good. And the more we feel good, the more reasons we have to feel good. Something that Anita Moorjani experienced after having a near-death experience, leaving her body and experiencing what it's like without the limitation of not only the human body, but the human emotions, the human ego. She came to understand that spirit is communicating with her all the time through her feelings, and that when she is feeling good, that spirit pointing her in that direction, whatever thoughts she's holding at the moment. She wrote in her book, I just do whatever feels right at the time. If we simply live in a way that nurtures us and allows us to express our creativity, letting us see our own magnificence, that is the best we can possibly do. We know we're on the right track when we feel ourselves at the center of our love, without judgment, and we recognize our true magnificence within the infinite whole. Our feelings are our guide. And anytime you've been talking for more than 3 or 4 words, you might just want to stop and check in and notice how you're feeling after what you just said. Been in a conversation with someone face to face or talking about what's going on in your life. Maybe you've been on the phone and you're done with that conversation. Just check in and see how you feel. If you're feeling uplifted, just know that your words are affirming that you're in alignment with spirit. But if you're feeling heavy after that conversation, if the words that have come out of your mouth have created worry or frustration, just recognize that the words that we were speaking were actually in contradiction to what our spirit wants for us. Our goal here is to create our feelings on purpose by using certain words, holding certain thoughts, certain pictures. I want to show you a few affirmations up here on the screen that use big, juicy, positive words. And this is an example of what we can do to get our feelings in alignment with spirit and become an attraction factor. Up here on the screen, will you say these with me together? I'm expecting wonderful things to happen. I have unlimited energy at my disposal. I'm expanding my horizons for my good. I'm positive the universe is for me. I'm so excited to see where this leads. You know, it's about faking it till you make it. And your words can help you do that. Use your imagination, use your feelings. And to me, there's no better word or thought or feeling or picture that we can hold to clarify our vision and be in alignment with spirit than love, which is our final tool today. I think when Jesus talked in the book of Matthew chapter 6, when he said, if your eye is true, your whole body will be full of light. If I could reword that, it would be that if your focus is on truth, your life experience will reflect the divine. When your focus is on truth, to me, the highest truth there is love. So when our focus is on love, we experience that in our life. That's the clearest vision we can have. Our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, said that love breaks up opposing thoughts of hate and renders them null and void. You instantly feel a release of mind and body tensions. And Dana Gatlin wrote that develop the idea of love and use it daily. And most problems automatically solve themselves. Love is the one infallible solvent. It dissolves everything unlike itself. So we look at love and unity as a couple different things. One, as a power, as the very force of the universe, that the nature of the universe and the nature of God are the same. It is a loving presence. And its work is to harmonize things in unity, but yet uniquely for each one of our individual good. That's what love is constantly doing. Love is also an attitude. It's a point of view. It's how Spirit sees us. And that no matter how we're behaving or what we're saying or how imperfect we are, Spirit recognizes the good in us and knows that that potential is within us. So when we look at clarifying our view so that we can create heaven on earth here, we're talking about using love as a way to clean things up for ourselves. And I know, probably better than anyone, that the ego will resist love at all costs if it means potentially letting someone take my good from me. I could go on and on with how good the ego is at arguing against love. It's always looking out for number one, which is why this is going to sound kind of strange, but when we talk about learning how to choose love, we have to learn how to do it for ourselves first. I know that people may think this is arrogant or egotistical, but I'm telling you, there is no way. I know you think you can love other people when you don't love yourself, but the love you're giving to them is flawed if you haven't learned how to give it to yourself. And so what we're talking about with self-love is, start easy. Pick the things that you do love about yourself and just focus on those for a little while till you get your energy up. One thing that you do good, or one, maybe it's your eyes or your hair or something that you love about yourself. Just find anything that you can give thanks for about yourself. And also recognize that there is always a child in us. The child that was formed when we were first young and is still seeking a lot of things that children seek. Acceptance and love and safety, security, direction. And I would say that one of the best things we could do for ourselves is when that child begins to act out, it's doing it because it's not getting one of those needs met. Be the parent for that child in you. Love that child. To me, it's a lot easier to love a child than it is to love an adult who should know better. Love the child who doesn't necessarily know better in this moment. Also, love the adult that you have become. I think if you've gotten to the point where you are on your own and you're paying your bills and you have some kind of place to live and you haven't killed anyone yet, give yourself some credit for that. Because, Lord knows there's a lot of opportunities to get upset. So you have accomplished a great deal. And you are deeply loved by this universe. There is nothing that you have done wrong. You are just having the human experience, and your soul knew that it was going to be hard when it came in here. But there is still a part of you that is not the human, that is already and always been perfect and whole. So give your little human self some credit once in a while. What your higher self does all the time is love you as you are. So become your higher self. When you're, chiding yourself for the way your body looks, just hear your spirit's voice saying, I love you as you are. When you find yourself being judgmental or giving into that bad habit or feeling insecure, needing to control, Just hear your higher self saying, I love you as you are. I love your imperfections. I love you, who and what you are right now, without having to change anything. And then just have a conversation between higher and lower self. Spirit, manifest your love in me now. Manifest your love in me now. Once you start treating yourself this way, you're going to have a better chance of offering this to the people around you. Sonia Choquette told a story about a couple who just naturally argued a lot. And they each had families who, when the families came together, seemed to argue a lot. And they'd chosen to go on a trip on an island where they could not get away from each other and argued a lot. And finally, the couple went off by themselves, and the husband said, you know what? What if just you and I, between now and the time we get off this island, we just over-appreciate each other? I mean, just whatever the tiniest little thing we can find about each other to appreciate, let's say it out loud. And so the wife agreed, and it started off with things like, I really love the way your lip curls as you're snarling at me. I love how powerful you were when you slammed that door in my face. I love how thorough you are at brushing your teeth. I love how you're able to just bound out of bed when the alarm goes off. And they kept it up for the rest of the week. Their family thought they were crazy, but they were faking it till they made it. And when they got home, they decided to keep it up. And over time, those faking comments were actually starting to become softer and more sincere. And they realized their love for each other was softening and deepening. But they also noticed some things happening in their own individual lives. The woman had had a weight problem all of her life, and suddenly she was shedding 40 pounds without even noticing that piece of it. Her husband could not make money to save his life, and suddenly he was getting all these opportunities and ideas to become more successful and actually making money. And they began to attribute it to the fact that they were changing their attitude about life, first with each other, but then towards themselves and those around them, into a loving gift. And I would just suggest, since we're coming up on Valentine's Day this week, that those of you who are in a relationship, make that your Valentine's Day gift to each other, to over-appreciate for a week and just see where it takes you. If you're not in a relationship, I'm going to give you a harder assignment. I'm going to ask you to use humanity as your partner, to over-appreciate humanity and give them a sense of acceptance and allowing. You know, you and I are spiritual beings first and always, and we are extensions of the one Spirit, which is love at its core. We came here to demonstrate love, and that is the clearest vision that we can hold for one another. So something that I'm going to ask you to adopt as a regular way of checking in, as often as you notice this opportunity, just ask yourself two things. Where's my focus right now? What am I focused on doing right now? And then the second question is, why am I doing it? And what I hope that will do was show you when those two things don't match. For instance, our focus could be about, I'm really good at picking up my kids on time every day. I got to be there every day. I've never failed them. I'm always there for them to pick them up on time every day after school. So that's what your focus is, but is that why you're doing it? What if your focus was associated with the why, which could be, I want to be present for them. I want to give them my love and appreciation during this time together. That's what's the most important thing. Is it a big deal for you that you make these fabulous dinners for your friends and family, or is it more important that you focus on listening to them while you're eating, really being present instead of focused on, what needs to come out of the oven and how the table is set? What about what do they have to say and what did they want me to hear and how can I support them in this? It could be, if you go through the drive-thru enough, you start to notice how many people aren't ready with their money. So you might pride yourself on, I always have my money ready when I get to the drive-thru. Is it about that? Or is it about being present for the person who is serving you with gratitude and appreciation? Is it about never missing a Sunday on Unity, at Unity? I'm always here. Or is it more important that when you're here, you're present with appreciation and compassion for the people sitting right here with you? You know, when we're done today, we're going to be saying hey to one another. It's our opportunity to just stand for an extra 2 minutes before we leave today to be present for someone who may not have a chance to express themselves to anyone else personally this week. This might be the only moment. Something I want to finish with is something from Sanea Roman, who said that as you send people loving thoughts, you strengthen them and support them in attracting good things. Great masters spend much of their time in states of deep love, sending energy and love telepathically to those who are asking for assistance. How can I make someone's life better today? By being present, by being love. When we start clarifying our vision with all of these tools that we've talked about for the last few weeks, we will be able to see the kingdom of heaven here on earth. Truly, God expressing through each one of us. It just has to start with a choice within ourselves and being awake to that choice.